Hey up team, so here it is, the first testimonial. Now I want to be putting these up for more specific for people to be able to understand what I do a little bit more, but then also know that there's a good possibility that you've got an answer for the problems that you might have. Now, if you have IBS and you've been dealing with IBS for a long time, I can empathize with you completely. After working in the world of IBS for quite a long time now, it sucks. And I think what you'll see from David, from the interview I'm just about to show you, that anything is possible. Now, David was dealing with IBS for over 20 years by the time he came to see me. He had seen a dermatologist, he had seen GPs, surgeons, nurses, nutritionists, dietitians. He'd done it all. We solved it in 10 weeks. Now, what I want to try and make sure everybody doesn't think I'm some sort of smart ass. I am not a smart ass whatsoever. Just want this to be publicized that anything is possible. Now, David is a bit of an older gentleman, and obviously was stuck in his ways, 60 plus years old. But what I really respect about David is that he wanted to make a change and he was willing to make some sacrifices and actually go through a process and really adhere to it. And now he's completely free. He was eating 6 foods before I started working with him. And I can't tell you how special it makes me feel to be able to help somebody in that way. But I want it to be very publicized how it works. You know, your stomach is not, it's not game over. If you have IBS, it's not game over. Far from it. You can work through it properly and you'll be able to eat as many foods as you like, well, within reason. So I'm going to start the interview. I'm going to put myself up into the corner. Now, let me just start off. So it is a little bit glitchy now. David's not the best in the tech world, that's for sure. But also, it took a minute or two for the connection to get going for some reason. So bear with it. But if you do have IBS and you have been dealing with it for a long time, you'll get a lot of value out of this video. Like this is me now, I'm done. And what I want to try and let the public and the world know is that that's not the case. So if you're okay with this being recorded and put on social media, if that's all right by you, that's what we'll do.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
And like I say, when you've gone through diarrhea, skin conditions, hormonal problems, all of that stuff, it's very difficult to then talk about it afterwards. So I very much respect David for this.
The
So
last
if you're watching this, David,
20 years of your life before you met me. Not everything,
Yeah,
just food, just
that's
food-wise,
right.
mate, just food-wise.
Just food-wise. Just I had this food
but we did get a
intolerance,
hell of a report by the end of it.
and
It
it
was
was
so good,
caused,
and I'm
I
still
always
speaking to
thought,
David now.
by food poisoning. I had a very bad chicken curry about 20 years ago, and that's when these rashes started. And really, it just meant that I could hardly eat anything. I could get by on chicken, ham, and vegetables, and that was pretty much it. Anything else I ate, I had an adverse reaction, and so went to the doctors, went to dermatology over this 20 years. Had several tests, and they all came back negative, which didn't really help the situation. And so I was just thought, well, I'm stuck with this now. You know, I'm just going to have this limited diet forever. Dermatology just didn't seem to be able to find the cause of the problem. And then I was introduced to you, and really that just proved to be a game changer. You put me on this 12-week course of a diet and probiotics, and it almost immediately the diet has changed. I just found then that I could eat a wide variety of things. I was no longer getting the rashes. I just couldn't believe it. It's absolutely marvelous. And so yeah, so that's where we've been.
What's really interesting is that obviously doctors and dermatologists and lots of other professions are very good at finding a medical answer. But yours wasn't medical, was it really? It was more holistical. It was more, we had a problem with the function of the stomach, so we needed to make sure that the function was heightened and was able to do what you wanted it to do. And what was very interesting about our start of our journey if you remember, you told me about the things that you were buying from the free from aisle. Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah,
And
the
how
things,
much?
I mean, I never really thought that
I
was the
think we all know what the
problem, but
free from aisle is in
dermatology
Tesco's or Asda or
suggested that
whatever.
I try free from, which was causing
So a
me, costing me an arm and a
dermatologist
leg. So expensive, this stuff. And it wasn't
suggested that
really
he went to the free
curing the
from
problem.
aisle.
So it wasn't working. It might have eased things
Mind-boggling.
slightly,
If you
but it
actually go
wasn't
through the
really getting to the root
ingredients of
of
what's
it.
in those free from
But
dishes,
you felt very caged in, didn't you? Like you had to go to that aisle and buy your food and things like that, and then you were very restricted with the other foods that you could eat. So there was no freedom.
There was no freedom at all. No, there wasn't done.
And also, what happened when we started getting the function back into your stomach again? And you said it was very quick. I mean, it wasn't that quick, if you remember. It was good for 4 to 6 weeks before, you know, the rashes went away. But then also we lost some weight. And you were a bit worried for a little while, weren't you, about losing a bit of weight?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I've always been about the same weight. I've probably been slightly overweight all this time, but quite, yeah. And then it started to drop off. But the change in lifestyle was doing that as well. I had this, you put me on this high protein diet, which helped, but then also introducing exercising, which I'd really let that lapse. So going off for walks every day was helping. Suddenly I was feeling fitter. My joints were looser. I was more energized. So I was in altogether a much healthier place.
But the going, yeah, I mean, which is fantastic. And I think the movement side of things, you know, you play your bowls and you just needed a little bit more encouragement and you were enjoying those things. Tell me about that first cup of tea with proper milk that you
he's a
had.
northerner, by the way, and anybody in the UK knows what a northerner loves more than anything in the
Yeah,
world. It's a brew.
I mean, I used to drink, as you know, 6 or 8 cups of tea a day, which probably wasn't the best thing to be doing. So now I'm drinking more water than anything. At least 2 liters a day. So that's more healthy.
But
But
you were having a reduced, you weren't having proper milk in your tea, were you? I've still got the picture
yeah,
when you had your first cup of tea with the milk in it.
yeah, it tasted nice. I mean, it did it because I've been on skim milk for years.
Yeah.
I mean, so to go onto the full fat milk, um, yeah, that was okay.
Game changer for a northerner to be able to have a proper cup of tea, eh?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. Tetley's too.
So then we went through obviously, you know, the different positionings of how to improve your gut, how to improve the function. Your energy levels were increased. Your sleep got a little bit better, even though you do like a snooze in front of the sofa. But then when we worked out the diversity in your stomach, so you're eating very similarly the same things for the first 2 to 4 weeks, but then we started adding in this diversity, and then we got to 8 weeks. And do you remember I think it was week 6, we spoke to each other and I said to you, what's your favorite food? What's the food that you really missed and you would really love to be able to go and have? And you came out with sticky toffee pudding.
Yes,
And you said to me,
that
there's
was
no way, Matt.
amazing.
There's no way.
I know. I mean, I was a
If
bit
you could have seen how convinced he
cautious,
was.
really, going to have
No way,
some
man.
after 20 years. I was mixed feelings. I was really looking forward to it, but oh, yeah, to have that toffee pudding and custard was just marvelous. And it had no effects at all. I mean, before I started this course, had I eaten that, I would have had rashes. You know, they've had a complete blow up. I just couldn't believe it. So that really was the litmus test, and it came through great.
And as a coach, as somebody, you know, a practitioner, we practice. We have a lot of information. We're very well educated in what we do, but it's a practice, you know. And we went through so many different stages of those 6 weeks where I was really comfortable to say to you, right, this is when we're going to be able to do it, and let's go and enjoy this moment. And I have that picture on my phone, and I will never get rid of it because that was one of the best days of my life as well. It was fantastic to see because food is such an important part to everybody's life, and being told to reduce it to pretty much nothing for such a long time and not have that pleasure, I think is such a shame. But now you can go on and you can go and live your life, and energies are high, and you know what to do if something else goes wrong. And I'm super proud of you, and I'm super proud of what we've been able to accomplish together in these 12 weeks. So thank you so much, David. But also, is there anything else you would like to say to anybody else who's maybe, stuck at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, can't really recommend you enough, Matt. I mean, what you've done is it is a lifesaver, really, and I just can't believe the difference that it's made. And now I've got no bad bacteria in the stomach. I can eat pretty much anything, really. Lots of things now, like lemons and all sorts of things, cakes, puddings that I couldn't touch before. So yeah, I can't recommend you enough. What you've done is a marvelous job.
Thank you so much,
So
David.
thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So that was my time with David. Now, just to conclude on that, he's saying that being a game changer. Now, after working with so many people over the years with IBS, I know how much of a game changer it is, and I know how difficult it is to trust somebody, especially if you've gone through the medical system. And yes, of course, this is a testimonial to advertise my business, but also I really, really do think that we as a society should be talking about this more. So if you have any questions, please do give me a message. I will give you a free call anytime you like, and we just go through a few things. And then if it's not as bad as all of that, as what David was, then there's some really easy things that you can do to definitely help your process out a little bit more. But if you are struggling and you have been struggling for a long time, you're not just creating this irritation or having diarrhea. You're very underhydrated. You will be lacking in so many different minerals, so many different vitamins, which will be affecting your joints, will be affecting your cognitive function, be affecting your sleep, hormones, all these things. And please don't think for 1 second that you need to go through just FODMAPing and losing foods. It's not about that. Really, really spend some time rebuilding the stomach, and I promise you, this could be you in the future. Cheers, team.